welcome to Elements of Ayurveda, Empowering Wisdom of Life. I'm your host, Colette, and in this podcast, I hope to empower you to take charge of your own health by sharing the holistic teachings of Ayurveda, the ancient healing tradition from India. We will also discuss topics like health and wellness, nutrition, yoga, fitness, meditation, breath work, and much more, as well as interviewing lots of inspiring people along the way. My humble wish is to help you to connect to your true nature, to Mother Nature, and to each other. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe to the show, and the new episodes will automatically download for you to enjoy. If you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend you listen to the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. I've also set up a Facebook group for us to connect and to support each other, and I'd love for you to join me over at Elements of Ayurveda podcast group. And now, here's the show. Hey, before we start the show, did you know that I'm hosting an Ayurveda and yoga retreat right here on the French Riviera this October, the 11th to the 13th, a 3-day weekend of connection, education, and relaxation. We're going to enjoy lots of talks on Ayurveda, yoga classes and Ayurvedic workshops, and we're going to hang out in this lovely medieval village which is just outside Nice, and Nice has the international airport, so it's really easy to access. If you're interested, please check out my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com/retreat. So check it out. I would love to have you here and connect with you in person. It would be fantastic. So I hope you can join us. Okay, now let's get on with the show. Hello and welcome back to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. This is Colette, and this is a special episode because we're celebrating the 2-year anniversary of this podcast. I can't believe that it has been 2 years since I started this podcast, and we're going to have a special episode where I'm going to look back a little, talk about you, the wonderful Elements community, and cover some common questions that I get asked often. And also we're going to talk about what's coming up in the future. Now, this episode is also special because I'm actually recording this episode in my childhood home in Ireland. So my accent may be a little stronger. It usually gets a little stronger when I'm in Ireland. And I'm visiting here. I'm actually spending the month of August in Ireland with my family and also avoiding the heat in France. And I'm staying, like I said, in my parents' house where I grew up, and it's in the country. And it's in the country, meaning like no street lights. And I really find it so grounding and peaceful here. It's like the opposite of France right now, where there's lots of tourists and it's a lot of heat and very pitta aggravating. So in here is perfect. The temperatures are cooler and I'm in the country and surrounded by green fields and animals. And I'm posting a lot of those photos and videos on my Instagram, on the Elements Instagram page, and also on the Facebook page. So if you're interested in seeing some of those photos and videos from Ireland, you can check that out on the Elements Instagram and Facebook page, and I'll put a link in the show notes where you can access those pages. But getting on to today's episode, which is all about celebrating this podcast and celebrating you for supporting this podcast, because without you, it wouldn't be possible. Without you, the listeners, supporting me and encouraging me to go on. And in celebration, I'm hosting a very special competition. So stay tuned because I'm going to be announcing that competition very soon in this episode. So looking back at when I started this podcast back in August 2017, this is when I was in the middle of my studies of Ayurveda, which I'm constantly studying Ayurveda, but this is when I was a few years in and I was really seeking more information, and I particularly loved consuming information on podcasts, but unfortunately I couldn't find the info that I was looking for on a regular podcast. I found some old podcasts, but they had since stopped producing or publishing material. And so I decided, or at least I started thinking about starting one. Now, I remember that I had a lot of hesitations because I was battling a lot of my insecurities, which, most of us do when we're trying to take a big leap into something new. And it was all those insecurities of who am I? And, I don't know enough about Ayurveda. I'm not an expert and so on. But my passion for Ayurveda, my belief that this information needed to be spread to a wider community outside of just the yogic and Ayurvedic community, that we really needed to get this wonderful wisdom, this philosophy and Ayurvedic teachings out to the world at large. And so this passion and this belief overrided my insecurities, and I went for it. And like I said, I continue to study Ayurveda and digesting this information and then sharing it with you. And I love bringing you lots of interviews with Ayurvedic professionals. And I really enjoy doing the podcast. It does take a lot of work. It's like having a part-time job where I have to prepare and produce and edit the episodes. But like I said, it's really important for me to share this ancient wisdom for free and to spread this wisdom to the world, because the wonderful thing about podcasts is we can get this information out far and wide. It's information that's accessible, that you can listen to on the go. And that's the great thing about podcasts, that you can be getting on with your life and consuming this information at the same time. So like I said, it's a passion. I also feel like it's part of my purpose to do this. So I am happy to share this information. And we do, of course, have the Elements of Ayurveda podcast Facebook group where we can connect and support each other. And this is where I post a lot of questions and try to get an insight into who's listening and what you want to hear more of. And when you join that group, I ask not only where you are from, because I'm interested, but also what type of episodes you enjoy listening to and what suggestions you have for episodes that I should cover. And this is really great information for me because I want to be of service and I want to know what you're interested in. And so this week I took a poll trying to see who's in the community, because this will tell me a lot about what information I need to bring to you. And at the time of this recording, on that poll, about 49% were interested in Ayurveda for their own health, which is fantastic. And about 40% of people were studying Ayurveda, and the rest were Ayurvedic professionals, yoga teachers, and yoga therapists. So this is really important information to me, like I said, because it helps me decide what type of episodes you would like and what information is relevant to you. And if you haven't had your say, please go ahead and do so. The poll is still up there. I'll put a link in the show notes, or just hop on over to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast Facebook group. So I really appreciate your feedback there, and share with me what you would like to hear more of. And one of the common questions I get again and again, which I want to cover today, is food choices and how to eat a more Ayurvedic diet. And I understand how this can be confusing. However, I really try to keep it as simple as possible. And firstly, I want to just clarify that there's no such thing as Ayurvedic food or an Ayurvedic diet. Yes, in Ayurvedic cleanses, we use an Indian dish called khichdi, which is a mix of mung beans and rice. And it's really the perfect food for cleansing because it's easy digestible, and the mung beans are easy to digest for each of the constitutions. And they're also these mung beans have a scraping effect on the intestines. So they're like the perfect food for cleansing. However, other than khichdi in a cleanse format, there are no real Ayurvedic foods, and Indian food isn't Ayurvedic. And so what I recommend for people when they're like, how should I eat a more Ayurvedic diet? Well, my recommendation is to eat a soul food diet, and soul stands for seasonal, organic, unprocessed, and local. So eating a diet that's as close to nature as possible, and nature that's local to you. And I find that this is the simplest rule of all. And how I recommend you find out what's in season and local is that you go to your local farmer's market and buy what's in season there and what's local and eat that. Because you've heard me say before, nature provides us with foods, fruits and vegetables in the season to keep us in balance. And so this is the best way to eat Ayurvedically, if you wish, that you eat close to nature, you eat seasonal, unprocessed, and organic if possible. And another question that I get again and again is, but how do I eat for my constitution type? And what we need to remember here is that when we are feeling good and balanced, in that we have no major illness, we have good digestion, we have no excessive gas or excessive bloating, there's no constipation or diarrhea, and if we have good energy and clarity of mind with daily elimination, then we can be considered to be balanced or have good health. And with that, we can eat our soul food diet without any restriction. So there's no eating for your constitution. There's no set diet in Ayurveda. Now, of course, we can't go, crazy and eat lots of processed foods and so on. We want to stick with that soul food diet, the seasonal, organic, unprocessed, and local. And I also recommend an 80-20 lifestyle. So 80% of the time we have good eating habits and good self-care practices, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later on. And then 20% of the time, that gives us flexibility if we have a special occasion, we go on holidays, or we just let loose a little. The trick is that once that holiday or that special meal or special occasion is over, that we get back on track and we get back into our 80% lifestyle. Because it's when we go off track and then we go off track for, days and weeks and months and so on, that's when we create aggravations in the doshas. And that's when things can happen and problems can arise in the body. And I find that there is a misconception that people think that they have to eat a certain type of food according to their constitution or their dominant dosha of vata, pitta, or kapha. What we need to remember here is that dosha translates to that which goes out of whack. So therefore, it's only when our doshas are aggravated or out of whack that we need to then focus on bringing in the food and the lifestyle practices that will pacify the aggravated dosha. So just to clarify, in general, we should be eating a soul food diet. I'll repeat it once more: seasonal, organic, unprocessed, and local, and have an 80-20 lifestyle. That's it. Keep it simple. However, when a dosha has gone out of whack, when vata, pitta, or kapha are aggravated, then we bring in the pacifying foods and the pacifying lifestyle practices or mindfulness practices, which will bring that aggravated dosha back into balance. And then once we're back in balance, once we have, like I mentioned earlier, good elimination, good digestion, we feel light, we feel clear, we feel balanced, then we go back to our soul food diet and our 80-20 lifestyle. So there's no specific diet. There's no strict restrictions in Ayurveda. Ayurveda is all about prevention. So Ayurveda tells us these are the signs of when your dosha goes out of whack. And when you're feeling those signals from your body, then eat these foods, do these lifestyle practices, do these mindfulness techniques, and to bring that dosha back into balance, and then continue on with life as normal. So, for example, if the kapha dosha is aggravated, the person may show signs of lethargy, of brain fog, sluggishness in the digestion and elimination. They may withdraw from society, and there may be weight gain. Now, these are just, to name a few typical examples of an aggravated kapha dosha. Therefore, according to the Ayurvedic principle of like increases like, and opposites bring balance, we need to bring in the opposite foods and activities in order to pacify this aggravated kapha dosha. So in this case, kapha is aggravated. We therefore want to bring in, instead of heavy, stodgy foods, which will cause further sluggishness and heaviness in the body, we want to bring in light foods. Instead of cool foods, we want to bring in warm, easy digestible foods with warming spices to kickstart the sluggish digestive system. And we would bring in a variety of activities, ideally with friends or in groups, to get the sluggish system moving, to get the blood circulating, the lymph moving, and so on. And bringing in more social activities to combat that tendency of kapha, when aggravated, to withdraw from society. So now, this, of course, is a general example, and we know in Ayurveda that there's no one size fits all. And Ayurveda really recognizes that each person has a unique constitution, and therefore each individual requires tailored advice. For example, in my online consultations, I would explain to the client their tendencies for their birth constitution and their typical signs of aggravation. And then I educate the client on how to eat and live when they notice those subtle signals of aggravation. So I teach them, here are the signs of aggravation for your body. Here's what happens in your body and mind when you become aggravated. And now here's what to do when you feel those signals from your body that there's aggravation. Here's how I want you to eat, and here's the lifestyle I want you to bring in until we get that aggravation pacified and bring those doshas back into balance. And if you catch that aggravation or imbalance in the early stages, you can simply apply this advice and restore balance. So it can be that easy. You just need the education of what you're looking for and what to do. However, if you ignore the early signals from your body and you cover up the problem, say with over-the-counter medication, or you just ignore it, then the aggravation will become more serious and move deeper into the tissues of the body. And you can hear all about this in my podcast episode number 64, where I talk about the 6 stages of disease. And I think this is a really important podcast episode to listen to, because Ayurveda explains to us how disease starts and progresses in the body. So I recommend you check out episode number 64. Now, the next question I get asked a lot is, well, how do I know when or which dosha is out of whack? Well, this is a common question because really it's due to the fact that in the West, we're not taught how to tune into our bodies from a young age. And instead, we've tended in history to outsource our health and really not taking responsibility for it, or at least not tuning in to our body and listening to it. So we have to learn this. And what I recommend is that once you've completed an Ayurvedic consultation where you've learned about your birth constitution, you've learned about your tendencies, and you've been educated on the typical signs of aggravation for you, then this starts the self-study. And what better study, right, is there to do than to study yourself? Because you've got all the information now, but you know how you feel, and you're the best person to judge how you feel and the best person to make decisions for your health and well-being. However, you do want to make sure that you're reading your body correctly. And then this is where cleansing comes in, as it's an important part of our health and maintenance plan and really gives us clarity around tuning into the body. And the reason I say this, because the best way to get in touch with your body is to reset it first, to clean it out so you have a clean foundation. And this is where Ayurveda recommends regular cleansing. Now, an Ayurvedic cleanse will not only release the toxins that are stored in the fat cells, which are really the bedrock of disease, right? This ama or toxic buildup in the body, but it will also reset our digestive system. And we now understand that up to 80% of our immunity is housed in our digestive tract. Therefore, when we do an Ayurvedic cleanse and we reset our digestive system in the process, we in turn reset our immunity and our overall health. Now, of course, in situations where the disease has progressed further into a more serious illness, there will need to be further intervention there. However, if you feel like you could use a reset and you want to get more in tune with your body and mind, a cleanse is a great way to do that. And it really is an educational experience, because during a cleanse, you will experience these changes in your body and mind. So therefore, you have that direct perception, which is really educational. And the feeling of wholeness or balance that you experience post-cleanse is a really great, clear foundation from which you can start listening to your body and being curious about what it's trying to tell you, because it's talking to you all the time. So it can be hard to listen to our body and to get clear signals if we're not feeling in balance, or if there's a dosha aggravated, or if we haven't been living, a good lifestyle. And so I do recommend that if you want to get to that point where you can clearly get signals from your body and start tuning in a little bit more and be confident about the signals your body's giving you, well, then a cleanse will bring you to that place where you're more in balance and more in tune. So, after talking about cleansing, would you like to win a free Ayurvedic cleanse? Well, I mentioned a special competition to celebrate the 2-year anniversary of this podcast. And the prize of this competition is a free entry into my upcoming Ayurvedic Digestive Reset Cleanse, which is starting September 20th. Now, the competition will run until Friday, September 6th, so don't miss your opportunity to win a free entry into this nurturing holistic cleanse. Just click on the link in the show notes or visit my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com/competition to enter. So get your entry in and you can win a free Ayurvedic cleanse, which is a nurturing, holistic cleanse. And the reason I say it that it's nurturing and holistic is because Ayurvedic cleanses are not like other cleanses. You're not fasting. So there's no starvation in this cleanse. In fact, fasting would be even further aggravating to both the Vata and the Pitta dosha. But an Ayurvedic cleanse is tailored to each individual. And my cleanse begins with a private 90-minute online consultation. And from there, the foods, the meditation, the yoga, etc. are all tailored to your needs and your lifestyle, in order to bring your body and mind back into balance. And I've talked about cleansing in other podcasts, and you can check those out. I've talked about seasonal cleansing in podcast number 4, one of the earlier podcasts, and you can check out in detail there what I do in these seasonal cleansings. But just in general, this cleanse is broken up into 3 weeks. Now, don't worry, you're not cleansing for 3 weeks, but week 1 is basically a preparation where we're gradually eliminating caffeine and processed foods and refined sugars, so that we want to ensure the transition into cleanse week 2 is easy and you have less side effects. So it's just a preparation week where you're drinking digestive teas as well. Then week 2 is the actual cleanse week, and it's all, natural whole food cleanse where you're eating easy digestible foods that are tailored to you. And the great thing is that you cook in batches, so you're not cooking every day. I've tried to make the cleanse as stress-free as possible. And depending on your constitution or your imbalance, you're eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if necessary for you, you'll have snacks as well. So during this week, what we're doing is we're pulling out the physical and the emotional toxins that are being pulled from the fat cells, being released into the gastrointestinal tract or the digestive system. And then at the end of this cleanse week, we eliminate these toxins naturally. And again, that's specific to each person. And of course, I'm there to support you throughout, and we're in touch throughout, because we may need to adjust the food and activities depending on how you're feeling. So you're only cleansing for that second week. And then week 3 is really special to Ayurveda. It's a rejuvenation week. Most cleanses end without any rejuvenation built in. And this is so important after a cleanse, because a cleanse is depleting to the body. And we have to build our digestive system and our cells and our tissues back up after a cleanse to create a strong foundation. So this is where you really start to reap the benefits of your cleanse, and you'll start to feel lighter and more energetic and have more clarity and vitality. And Ayurveda really recommends regular cleansing, and it's particularly recommended at the joint of the seasons, from summer to autumn and from spring to summer, as pitta can accumulate in summer or whenever you experience hot weather, and kapha can accumulate at the end of spring with the cold, moist weather. And if we don't take care of these accumulations of the doshas before entering into the next season, the doshas can become aggravated and lead to imbalances and possible illnesses. And we often notice that there's an increase in sickness at the change of the seasons, and this is because of that buildup of toxins which wasn't taken care of. So regular cleansing is a great idea, the joint of the seasons, and I also like to do a cleanse after the holidays in January, just to give the body a break from all the festive indulgences and to eliminate the toxins and start the new year feeling good, feeling light, feeling you have that clarity. In fact, I find that with each cleanse that I do, it's not only easier to cleanse, but it also goes a little deeper, and I have more awareness of the subtle signals from my body and mind. And also by giving my body a break from the normal foods, our taste buds become more sensitive. And you may notice that the cravings that you once had, and they may be cravings for aggravating foods for your body, they kind of fall away, and you'll start craving healthier choices. And of course, with the newly sensitized taste buds, you'll also notice that you may require less sugar, less salt, less spice as you once did. Because if we're having these spices and sugary foods and salt on a regular basis, of course, we build up tolerance over time, so we need more of these. But what a cleanse will do will reset your taste buds, and so now you have a new sensitivity to these tastes, which means you'll need less of them. So there you go. The competition for a free entry into the cleanse is open, and the competition closes on September 6th, and the cleanse will start September 20th. So click on the link in the show notes to enter, and good luck. Now, I also want to talk about post-cleanse, right? Because a lot of times we do cleanses, and this is a question I get from people. It's like, yeah, I did a cleanse, but now I've reverted back to old habits and I just feel crappy again. So this is often a problem, because once we've done a cleanse, we feel great, but then we get back to normal life and we may revert back to old habits. So once you have established your new healthy foundation post-cleanse, you really want to support this new healthy foundation by bringing in a new operating system of healthy habits, and really to ensure that you don't return back to the old habits that didn't serve you and maybe got you in trouble in the first place. So for my clients who complete a cleanse, and if they feel like they need further support, I've designed an online course which is called the Daily Habits for Holistic Health course, which is 28 days long, and it's actually self-paced, so you can take longer if necessary. But in this course, we cover a lot more detail. So we go even deeper than the original consult and the cleanse. And this is where we bring in more supportive self-care practices that are in tune with the circadian rhythm. So we go into detail about the daily energy cycles or the circadian rhythms. And I help my clients incorporate daily self-care practices, simple ones, and we put triggers in place to make sure that they're easy to remember and that they don't interfere too much with your lifestyle, but they have a profound effect on maintaining your health and preventing imbalances and aggravations of the doshas going forward. And then we go forward and talk a lot about the different mental qualities and how to recognize mental imbalances and how to restore them with mindfulness techniques. And then we move on to learning about the foundations of Ayurvedic healing and how to become your own healer. And these foundations are based on that principle of opposites, that principle I talked about earlier, that like increases like and opposites restore balance. And so we talk in detail about these pairs of opposites according to Ayurveda and how you can bring this Ayurvedic principle into your day-to-day life to maintain balance and to maintain vitality. And then once we have those supportive foundations in place and the client is feeling balanced and energetic, I then go on to discuss how intuition and positivity and compassion impacts our health and well-being, and how to develop your awareness so that you can tap into your intuition and tap into your true nature. And this is what I love about the Daily Habits course. It really takes you to the next level of expressing your truth and living in alignment with your true nature. And this course can be taken privately throughout the year, or you could do it in a group format. And if you're interested in the group format, the next one starts October 25th. So I run that after the group cleanse. And really, this is what I want for my clients, and this is what I love to do, is that to take the client on a journey of bringing the body and mind into balance so that the client is not consumed with any aggravations of the doshas that may be manifesting physically or mentally. And that once the client has gone through a consult and cleanse, I find that this new balanced state brings a greater awareness and curiosity of their true nature, and that they have more space to start questioning how they can bring their true nature or unique gifts into the world. And essentially, this is where we'll find our happiness, right? And where we'll find our true purpose is when we're being of service and when we're using our unique gifts or our unique skill sets and bringing those into the world and making the world a better place and making us feel fulfilled, which I think is essentially what we all want and desire. And that's where we feel happiest, when we're being of service and when we're using our gifts. And this really is such an exciting journey, and it really brings a new curiosity and a zest for life. So this is what I love to do, taking clients on this journey through the consultations and the cleanse and the Daily Habits course. And like I said, those can be done separately, or I actually have combined it all in a 7-week online program, which is my Reset, Restore, Renew program. And that can be taken, again, like everything, privately throughout the year, or I do a group program. I do once a year in January, I do a group Reset, Restore, Renew program. And I'll put all the links to those programs in the show notes. I've kind of gone off a tangent there of my services, but I often get people asking questions about what I offer or not sure about what I offer. So it was a good opportunity to let you know. But yeah, I get excited about it because this is what I love to do. And this is my passion, is helping people come into balance and then connect to their true nature and bring that true nature, their skills, their unique talents into the world. And this is where I think we all thrive and, of course, make the world a better place. So now let's look at going forward. So coming up, of course, I have my Ayurvedic and Yoga retreat, which is coming up in the south of France, October 11th to the 13th. So that's coming up really fast. And I'm looking forward to welcoming those of you coming into the little village of Villefranche-sur-Mer. And it's very close to Nice, which has the international airport. And we have a beautiful location overlooking the Mediterranean and the village of Villefranche. And we're going to be doing yoga classes and meditation and breath work, and of course talks on Ayurveda. And we're also going to do Ayurvedic workshops. And I'm breaking it down each day into one topic. So one day will be food as medicine. The next day will be lifestyle medicine. And the third day will be mindfulness medicine. So we're going to lots of education, lots of fun, and enjoying all that the region has to offer. So check out the link in the show notes for that upcoming retreat, or you can visit the website elementshealingandwellbeing.com/retreat. Now, of course, going forward, I still plan on bringing you lots of quality information here on the podcast and lots of great interviews. And of course, I'd love to hear from you. If you want to suggest topics or people you think I should talk to, please let me know in the Elements of Ayurveda podcast Facebook group, or feel free to send me an email at info@elementshealingandwellbeing.com. And I love to hear from you. So please feel free to share. And I really, truly appreciate your support. and sharing these episodes with your friends and family. You know, I'm on a mission to share and spread the wisdom of Ayurveda, and you can be part of this mission as well by just sharing the episodes. If you find a particular episode may be helpful to a family member or a friend, please feel free to share it, and then we can spread this wisdom and get more people in balance and thriving. Now, you can also support the podcast via my Patreon account, where you can leave a tip in the tip jar if you wish. If you feel like you're getting value from my free weekly episodes, you can support it over on my Patreon page, and I'll put a link in the show notes to that as well. Or you can find it on the podcast page on my website. So there you go. Finally, if you want to stay up to date with what's going on, please join the Elements newsletter. I send out a weekly newsletter and I keep you updated on the upcoming events and so on. So that's a great way to stay in touch going forward. So there you go. 2 years into the podcast, and hopefully there'll be many more episodes to come. And I want to thank you for being a member of the Elements of Ayurveda podcast community. I truly appreciate your support. And here's to another year of inspiration from the wonderful wisdom of Ayurveda. Take care, be well, and ciao for now.